Yeah, thank you. So we're looking at vision, which John Maxwell calls the indispensable quality. And just thinking about why vision, it is actually said that where there is no vision, the people cast off restraints and or the people perish. And he actually says that it is vision that turns that which is mundane into something that is important. So why vision? One, what you see determines what you can be. The second reason why you need vision as a leader is that you see only what you're prepared to see. And third, what you see is what you get. Now, let's look at each of those. So when he says that what you see determines what you can be, he says that there are four categories of people. One, there are people who never see it, and these are wanderers. They are wanderers because they are moving about, but there is no sense of direction. They are not headed anywhere. And as the saying goes, if you're not headed anywhere, or if you do not know where you're going, then any road will take you there. So those are wanderers. Then the second category is those who see it, but never pursue it on their own. They are followers. So for these people, then it becomes important that there is a leadership in place, someone who can be able to paint the vision and provide direction. The third category is people who see it and pursue it. These are achievers. And of course, there are those who see it, pursue it, and help others to see and pursue it. And these are leaders. And it's interesting when you think of this in the context of books we've covered in the past, such as when we looked at the 8 habits, and we saw that when we were talking about inspire, saying that it is about discovering your voice and helping others discover their voice as well. So we see that then principles cut across. And it's like these prolific authors are telling us the same thing using different words. So the first reason why you need to have a vision is because what you see determines what you can be. Another way of putting that is that you can only go as far as your sight is concerned. In another of his books, John Maxwell talks about what he calls the principle of the lead, lead as in LID. And he says that a leader's potential or the leader's development is the lead that determines his effectiveness and the effectiveness of the organization. In other words, the people you lead, the organization that you lead can only go as far as you have gone or as far as you have seen, which is why it's important to be able to develop one's leadership and to be able to develop one's potential as a leader. So the second one is that you only see what you're prepared to see. Here he gives a very interesting story, very, very interesting, because it's the story of someone known as Milton Wright, who was a bishop, and he's arguing with a college principal. And the argument, which is an interesting argument, is whether there is any more discovery that is going to be made, or whether scientists or inventors have already discovered or invented all that there is to discover. And Milton Wright is adamant that all that can be discovered, and that is back in the 1800s, has already been discovered. And the college principal is like, no, there's still more that can be discovered. And Milton Wright goes like, so what is there that you think has not been discovered and can be discovered? And this college principal says, well, we've not yet discovered a technology of how we can fly. And his reply is nonsense. Only angels are intended to fly. So it's quite ironic when you discover that this Milton Wright was the father to the two guys that popularly came to be known as the Wright brothers, who we know pioneered flight. And the point there is that we all live under the same sky, but we don't all have the same horizon. So I could be looking and seeing something different. And And someone else could be looking at the same thing and not being able to see the opportunity that exists in the very same instance. Number three, what you see is what you get. And here he gives the example of Robert Woodruff of Coca-Cola, who said that his dream is that every person in the world would be able to taste Coca-Cola. And the point there is that what you receive is largely based on what you perceive. So let us look at this man that he calls the mundane man, the kind of man that we shouldn't be like. And this is according to Kenneth Hildebrandt. He says that the mundane man believes only what he sees. I think there's someone we should meet. All right. The mundane man believes only what he sees, only what is immediate, only what he can put his hands on. The mundane man lacks depth. He lacks vision. So remember, this is the inverse, the kind of person that we shouldn't be like. So the mundane man, he's the poorest of all men, not because he doesn't have a nickel to his name, but because he's the fellow without a dream. He resembles a great ship made for the mighty ocean, but trying to navigate in a mill pond. Imagine that you were made for the mighty ocean, but you're trying to navigate in a mill pond. I don't even know how a ship can really navigate within a mill pond. I think it's meant to bring out the satire. So he has no far port to reach, no lifting horizon, no precious cargo to carry. The mundane man, his hours are absorbed in routine and petty tyrannies. Small wonder if he gets dissatisfied, quarrelsome, and fed up. So that's the kind of person that we shouldn't be like. We should be the kind of people that are looking out into the horizon, reaching out to our full potential, carrying, lifting horizons, and having precious cargo to carry. So how then can we increase your more or our more and before? And what he calls more and before, for the benefit of those who may not have read the book or read up to this chapter, he says that as a leader, it is your responsibility to see more and before. What does that mean? Number one, you should be able to see more than your followers, all right? In other words, you're able to paint a picture of the future that they may not already have discerned. And then you need to be able to see it before they do, because that is the only way then that you get to lead them to that ordained future. So increasing your more and before is essentially increasing your vision. And how you do that, number one, is to know that there is more and before out there. So, because if you don't know, then you can't be able to pursue it. Number two is to develop a process for finding more and before. And he gives a process there that includes testing out your vision. So being able to declare, and people will of course ridicule it. He says that that is the process that a vision goes through. That actually people will say, no, it can't be done. Then as you persist, as you learn, of course, from it, and you incorporate the learnings and become better and it works, then they're like, yeah, we knew this would work from the very start. And by the way, that's something that I can attest to. When I had to resign and start a business, and there are people like who are, well, I was fairly young back then. They're like, no, you can't do this early. And they're very interestingly, the very same people who were saying it can be done back then, when it succeeded, they were like, yeah, you remember I was the one encouraging you to start. So it's the journey of the vision. Then spend time with people who inspire you to find it. And he goes to great lengths to explain about finding the right people. Then ask questions that help increase your more and before. And that it is important to ask the right questions, because then they lead to the correct conclusions. And finally, intentionally grow every day to increase your capacity for more and before. So that's my short summary of this chapter. Definitely, there is quite a lot in it, but I think it's good for me to also open the room to be able to get feedback, what you've gotten in this presentation, or what you've also gotten as you read the book. And also, whatever idea you have on vision, good to hear that. Thank you and welcome.